in the upper pelvic cavity just below and behind the intestines and bladder area. The two ovaries are found on either side of the uterus or womb, and they produce eggs for fertilization and provide essential hormones. If doctors feel anything abnormal, they will do a further test called ultrasound, which uses special sound waves. With this test, doctors can pinpoint the size and location of larger tumors, but the test is usually not sensitive enough to pick up small tumors.
We don't have a lot of tumor left. There's microscopic disease, I'm reasonably sure there. But
when ovarian cancer is diagnosed, doctors generally follow a two-step treatment plan. First, surgery is used to remove both the ovaries, in most cases, and any other visible cancer. 26-year-old Beata Motazeant has already had her surgery and will now start on the second step of treatment, chemotherapy, which attacks microscopic cancer that could not be seen.
I'm optimistic we'll get a good result.
She starts the process with a blood test called CA-125, which will be used to measure the presence of cancer during treatment. Unfortunately, the test only works if the tumors are large. The test usually does not pick up smaller cancers. Beata faces 9 sessions of chemotherapy, after which she may undergo what's called a second look operation.
Well, this is good news. No cancer.
During the operation, doctors check to see that the chemotherapy was effective.
If the washings are negative, this young lady might be home free.
Both Beata and Nancy were stunned when they were told they had ovarian cancer. But there are some women who are able to predict their risk. That's because there is increasing evidence which suggests that there is a genetic link for ovarian cancer in some families that runs from one woman to another. At Buffalo's Roswell Park Memorial Institute, Dr. Stephen Piver began to look into this connection in the late 1970s after treating several members of one family.
A lady came in and said to me, "Did you know that you operated on my cousin that had ovarian cancer?" Of course, she had a different last name. I didn't know that. She said, "Did you know that you operated on my sister who had ovarian cancer?" Of course, had a different last name. That family turned out to have had 6 members with ovarian cancer, all of whom are dead.
I love that picture because it's very symbolic of their last time together. And actually, I can remember that day.
My mother was the first one in the family that developed ovarian cancer, and she was 50 years old. She died at 51, and I was 15 years old at the time.
It was the 6 members of Diane Shue's family that provided Dr. Piver's first evidence of an ovarian cancer genetic link.
Both of them developed ovarian cancer.
Diane's family cancer history can be traced back several generations. Her grandfather had 11 children, including 5 daughters, 3 of whom developed ovarian cancer. Her great-uncle had 6 children and 1 daughter.
And her daughter, then also developed ovarian cancer. So there were 5 cases, and then later on, in 1985, a first cousin in my generation developed ovarian cancer.
Okay, this is Gilda Radner, who's in the registry and unfortunately who died of ovarian cancer.
In 1981, Dr. Piver established a registry to identify families with an ovarian cancer genetic risk. 820 women are now part of the registry, including 340 families. The registry has now been named for the late comedian Gilda Radner, whose mother, aunt, and first cousin also died of ovarian cancer. Usually the risk of developing ovarian cancer is low, about 1 in 70 for American women. But Dr. Piver's 9-year study of these families has led him to a startling conclusion.
If you have 2 or more first-degree relatives, your sister and mother, 2 sisters, your chances are as high as 1 in 2, 50%.
What's more, Dr. Piver's research has shown that inherited ovarian cancer tends to develop at a younger age. Because of both the high risk and the likely early development, Dr. Piver now recommends that women in these high-risk families have their ovaries removed by age 35.
We want to get it 10 years before you even have a chance of starting it. So that's why 35. Plus, by 35, most women have completed their family. Taking those 2 factors, we think 35 is the perfect age. No.
Because of her family's cancer history, Diane and husband Ken had their family as soon as possible. Then, 4 years ago, at age 34, a perfectly healthy Diane had her ovaries removed. She is now on estrogen replacement therapy. Surgery at such a young age is obviously a difficult choice for a woman, and not all the experts agree that the radical approach of removing the ovaries is a foolproof preventive measure. For example, in 1982, the National Cancer Institute reported a study in which 3 of 28 study subjects who had had their ovaries removed eventually developed abdominal cancer. But so far, for the 100 women for whom Dr. Piver has recommended or performed surgery in the last 5 years, not a single one has developed abdominal cancer.
Do you worry at all today about ovarian cancer, knowing that even though you have the surgery, rarely it might occur?
I don't worry about it, because I know I've done everything I can possibly do when it comes to this disease. The rest is out of my hands.
I didn't know that this was going to be happening to all of us. I didn't know that all of my aunts were going to die and my cousins were going to start dying. It's pretty scary.
29-year-old Ellen Doherty and her 28-year-old sister Patty are Diane Shue's cousins. Their mother, like Diane, died of ovarian cancer. Now both feel they are genetic time bombs.
It gives you a sense of urgency in your life that you feel like you've got to hurry up, be successful at your career so you can get married and you can satisfy all these things, and you like traveling and doing all these things so you can settle down and have kids.
And the prospect of the surgery looms large over them.
I think that it's something I definitely have to take seriously, because if I don't have this operation, the chances of me getting this cancer are pretty high, and I don't want to die like my mother did.
Both Patty and Ellen have a checkup every 6 months and keep in touch with the Roswell Registry.
I think I have more of a chance of surviving this than someone who didn't know, or someone like my mother who, you know, they hadn't figured this all out and they couldn't tell what's wrong with her for so long. By the time they figure it out, she's already, you know, terminally ill. So I think, you know, we've got a really good chance.
Meanwhile, doctors are trying to improve the survival chances of women who get ovarian cancer by making treatment for them more effective.
We do 2 different things we never used to do before. We're very aggressive surgeons. If your tumor is spread to a part of your intestine, we'll take out that piece of intestine and, of course, put it back together to try to take out every little bit of cancer we can. The second big breakthrough was a wonder drug called platinum, or cisplatin. It's from the heavy metal platinum. That makes tumors, ovarian cancers, just shrink away.
With both drugs and surgery, more ovarian cancer patients are living longer. However, only 1/4 of ovarian cancer cases are caught early. Of those, 85% do survive. But 3/4 of the cases are not diagnosed early, and most of those women do not survive. Since moving to Florida, Nancy Piesick continues to beat the diagnosis some call a death sentence. She's fought off 3 recurrences of ovarian cancer, even undergoing experimental drug therapy.
7.5 years ago, the experts, they all gave her 6 months to live. Now when the doctors say to us, we don't know what to say about your wife because she is one exception that is unusual, and we won't make any predictions whatsoever.
Nobody would have predicted that Nancy would be this vibrant, this healthy, this alive almost 8 years after her diagnosis. Nancy has stage 4 of the disease, the most advanced stage of ovarian cancer.
And so as a last straw in October, and I know it was the last straw, they put me back on not only carboplatinum, but cisplatin also, on a very mild dose. And miraculously, overnight, this large tumor that I had in my stomach disappeared.
Nancy's survival has not come without some cost. As a result of chemotherapy, she wears hearing aids to combat hearing loss, and she suffers extreme numbness in her hands and legs.
In these past few months, I've tried to grab as much of life as I can, because I spend half a month recouping from chemotherapy and the other half a month having a wonderful time until the next time chemotherapy comes around. And with each treatment, it gets easier and easier because I'm healthier and healthier than when I started.
I'm not available next Friday. Chemo.
This is not the end of the world. And I've told everybody it's not going to kill me. Something else is going to kill me, but not ovarian cancer. I'm determined. And I mean that sincerely.
What a good attitude. Tim, if you don't have a relative, let's say, but you know, with breast cancer, you can do self-examination or have a mammography. What can you do?
Well, that's what is so desperately needed because, as you allude, the majority of women with ovarian cancer do not have family history as a guide. So what we need are screening methods that can find this cancer early enough to do some good. As of this day, there are not such reliable and easy screening methods. There are some leads, a lot of research. I hope we will have it within the next maybe 5 to 10 years, but unfortunately we don't.
And a pelvic examination doesn't do it.
It's better than nothing, but it's certainly not foolproof.
Now, you said in the piece that if you have 2 relatives, then you really know that you're in danger. But what if it's 1?
They're looking at that data right now, and Dr. Piver tells us that there is early evidence that even with just 1 first-degree relative, a mother or sister, you may be at added risk, and that the risk is clearly greater if the mother is that relative rather than a sister. So it's something that I think we're going to learn more about.
And try to do as much screening as possible. So important. Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
Next on the program, do you savor the aroma of cat food or love the texture of dog food? Maybe you've missed your calling. John Stossel puts you inside the world of pet food makers, from the factory to the last slurp, all to answer the question, what's really in that can? Can you imagine aliens picking up our TV broadcasts and tuning in pet food commercials, puppies chasing chuck wagons, dancing dogs, finicky cats, pets who wouldn't settle for cereal? Let's tell the truth. All this pet food marketing is a bit crazy, but it's also a $7 billion business, and that's more than the gross national product of many third-world countries. Well, when you serve a can of pet food, haven't you sometimes wondered, what is that stuff? We did. So tonight we present John Stossel's Pet Food Odyssey.
You couldn't be cuter, plus that you couldn't be smarter, plus that intelligent face, you have a disgraceful charm for me.
We must love them a lot, given the lengths we go to feed them. Pet foods now take up more supermarket shelf space than most anything else. That's especially surprising because only 50 years ago, almost no one bought pet food. We fed our animals table scraps. No more.
Tender, juicy cuts made with luscious, lean meat.
It makes a real beef gravy.
Dogs just go nuts for.
With so much money at stake, pet food companies work hard at pleasing the customer. But just who is the customer? The one with the cold, wet nose? Or the one with the money? Visit a pet food company and you see that they go out of their way to try to please both.
Really smells like bacon.
Every Friday morning at the Elpo factory, the executives meet to critique the product.
That looks nice. That stew looks good. This is my favorite. The chicken snap's nice and clean.
Then how does it smell?
And the aroma's pleasant.
They check the way the food slips from the can. This is known as the plop factor.
Good release. Nice color, texture.
They also look at the competition. In this case, a product from Calcan.
Well, I don't know if I like that slime or not.
It's funny how another company's slime is your company's gravy.
Just a little gravy like we want it. Nice and chunky.
Chunky. Good color. What's this about? What the pet will like? No, in fact, dogs are colorblind. All this is for us, because we pet owners have convinced ourselves that our pets will like what we like.
Okay, guys.
The companies, therefore, make pet food that mimics human food.
They're like real meat chops with a tender, meaty middle surrounded by the crunch of bone.
Lots of people want their pets to eat as well as people do.
This week he had steak, and he had stroganoff, and he had spaghetti. I mean, he really did, because to keep Louis interested in eating is you go out and you buy it and you cook for him. And for Louis, that's important. Isn't it, Louis? Because you're skinny.
In fact, what Louis probably likes most would disgust her. Elpo used to have a product the dogs loved, but the company president says they had to change it.
It smelled like dog food. Well, consumers don't want dog food that smells like dog food today. And if you were making it just for the dog, how would it be different?
Probably have more fat in it.
and because dogs really like fat. And it probably wouldn't smell as good, because surprisingly we found that some of the poorer smelling products are preferred in the kennel.
Oh, yes, the kennel. So they do care about what the animals like. All the big companies keep hundreds of cats and dogs in research kennels. Alpo uses beagles because you can train them to be picky eaters, huskies because they have huge appetites,
And Labrador, because, well, the mother Labrador has big litter. So if you're trying to compare food A with food B, you need 2 3-pound puppies to make that comparison. Labradors make that easy.
At the kennels, they test for 2 things. Is the food nutritious? And will the animal eat it eagerly enough to impress you? Today, this beagle, named Maria, has to choose between an experimental Alpo flavor and a competitor's product, Purina dog chow. Maria at first says, no way I'm eating in front of that camera. But eventually, hunger takes over and she comes out to vote. Not for her master's product, however. She preferred the Purina. In fact, in this round of testing, most dogs did. So the Alpo test product will be dropped. Not that there was anything wrong with it. And if not given a choice, most dogs would eat any dog food.
Cats, on the other hand, are different. All the commercials about finicky cats are, true. Although this cat seems happy eating my fingers, it is true that some cats have starved themselves to death rather than eat food they don't like. This provides opportunities for the people who sell expensive cat food.
They show up in droves at places like this. This is a cat show at Madison Square Garden.
The more money I can spend on it, the better I feel.
Here they sell what they call premium pet food. Brands like Lick Your Chops, Science Diet, and Sheba. Premium means it costs much more. Does that mean it's any better? The sellers say it is.
Premium foods are designed with higher quality ingredients. I can eat any one of our products and feel really wonderful giving it to any one of my pets.
When Andy Brown's cat got sick, she fed it home-cooked human food, and it got well. Now she has a booming mail-order business called Noah's Park. She sells natural pet food. We asked veterinarians, does this kind of thing make a pet food better?
I find it difficult to find any scientific evidence that there are differences that matter.
Frank Lowe is dean of the Tufts Veterinary School.
You've seen ads like this for these fancy, expensive brands. Is this better if you buy this?
No reason to pay more unless you, for some reason, feel good paying more. If it says complete dog food or complete cat food, it will meet all the same requirements that any of the more expensive brands will meet.
Complete, or complete in balance. Now, this is unusual. You don't see this on people food. What it means is that actual government bureaucrats have set standards that say if your pet eats this food and nothing else all its life, that's okay, because what's in here is all he needs. You can find this guarantee in even the cheapest supermarket brands, so there's no need to pay more. Still, the premium sellers say, do you really want your pet to eat what's in here? Well, what is in here? The ingredients say water, meat byproducts. You ever wonder what meat byproducts mean? Well, it doesn't mean steak. It means things like this, gullet. These are the throats of cattle. They're black because they're covered with charcoal. That's required by law to make sure no one sells this stuff as people food.
Like all meat, it comes from slaughterhouses. Once the steak and chops that we eat are stripped and trimmed from the carcasses of farm animals, the leftover meat is sold to pet food companies. People in other parts of the world consider some of these organ meats delicacies, though we don't. So they end up in plants like this one in Alpo, where they're dumped into grinders and made into this pink goop called a slurry. Then they're cooked. What's in the slurry changes depending which byproducts are most available.
The mix may change. We may put, instead of putting 30% lungs in, we may put in 25% lungs and put in 5% udders. But you've got to keep changing. Udders are very good. I mean, dogs love udders.
Now, it may disgust you that your animal is eating stuff like this, but in fact, animal nutritionists say that
Organ meat, such as udders and livers or these lungs, are good sources of protein.
and actually it's better for your pet than the steaks and chops you might feed him.
It's also what your dog likes most. If you don't believe that, next time you're on the plains of Africa watching wild dogs chase down their dinner, check out what they eat first. It's the stomach and the other very smelly internal organs. That's also what's most nutritious. Cats, too, prefer it, and house cats do like mice. So the companies suggest mice aren't good enough.
Do I look like dinner for a guy like you? I'm a one-course meal.
In fact, the experts say a mouse is actually a perfect full-course meal for a cat. Its tiny body is a complete blend of all the right amino and fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals.
Why don't you grind them up and put them in a can?
I think the customer would certainly have problems with mouse in a canned cat food.
And that, of course, is what all this is about. Hype to the customer. Convince them, for example, that younger dogs must have a different food.
The puppy food, for example, isn't this just a way to con us into spending more money?
Well, not really. The puppy food is a product that has a little bit more fat, a little bit more protein, has rice in it, it's a little more digestible.
But your own lab found the puppies didn't gain any more weight eating that compared to the regular food.
Yeah, but consumers believe that they want a product specifically for the puppy.
Consumers also want to believe the companies that say your pet will like dry food. But come on, dry food's mostly cereal. Even Alpo admits
What you're doing is trying to fool the dog, because in the wild you'll never see a pack of wild dogs attack a wheat field. And this is basically a grain-based product.
to get the dog to eat it, these grain pellets are coated with liquefied chicken guts. That gives it that dash of dead animal flavor dogs love so much. Dry food, however, is a good deal for the owner. Not only does it smell less, but it's cheaper than canned food. Canned food is 75% water. You're buying water at pet food prices. The final part of the sell is the commercial. Here the marketers decided that the psychology of dog owners is different from cat owners.
You want me to love you, kiss you, slobber all over you, then you want a dog.
Cat owners supposedly fear their pets will reject them.
Cats are just too cool.
Your best friend, the little puppy. Dog owners, on the other hand, consider their dog a friend or a young member of the family.
This is my dad. I take him for walks.
So the ads play off that.
This is my mom.
Hello, Ike.
She's wonderful.
I don't know if you buy any of this, but please do, because these poor people will do anything to get you to buy their products. Everywhere we went, pet food sellers kept sniffing their pet foods and saying their products are so good and good for you, they'd eat them.
You like the taste? I love the taste. This is a dog snack, perfectly palatable. I think you'll find a little bland. Little cheese whiz on there. It'd be pretty good.
It's great. Want to try it?
You tried it. What does it taste like?
It's sort of tasteless, chewy,
Not crunchy, crunchy?
crunchy. Maybe you want to chase cars after
Seriously, John, I had read that many poor people in this country were forced to eat dog food.
That was widely publicized years ago after there was testimony at a congressional subcommittee that in the ghetto, a third of the pet food bought is eaten not by pets but by poor
Yes, but
people.
they said it was all they could afford.
And it's just not true,
How do you know?
because they traced it back to a consumer group that said, well, we didn't really mean to say that. And also it makes no economic sense because this stuff is expensive. People food's cheaper.
Huh. But we should not, if we really love our dog or cat and we think we should give them steaks and chops and so forth, it really is not as good as
It is not.
the
Complete
dog
pet food is better. All meat is not good for dogs.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've been eating cookies here when we have a little break. We'll have a little biscuit from now on, huh? Okay,
When we come back, a jury's verdict in a brutal case of domestic violence. And when you see the victim, you'll remember the story.